3, 2, 1, go. Hello everyone! Welcome to week 3 of EP1. We're having a whale of a time, we're doing a lot of great stuff, and I have some very interesting feedback. The discussion this week, we talked about Flipgrid and got some very helpful comments about Flipgrid. Just want to make sure and review very quickly. I want to keep using Flipgrid for right now. As of now, I'm going to keep Flipgrid entirely private, and that only I should be able to see your videos. I was very disturbed, to be honest, to see how many views your videos got within just a short amount of time. Hundreds of views when they should have gotten like 50 at most. So some students got almost to 600 within 3 days. That technically should not be possible. So I have emailed, there's a contact there for me. I've emailed Flipgrid, the company, to somebody. They have a name, I just don't remember it. So I've asked specific questions about and concerns about some of the concerns that you've mentioned in your discussion question answers, in that you're talking about if I have the video as private, even you can't see your uploaded video, which is not how it should be. When you upload a video, you should be able to see your video, and the moderator, in that case that's me, you and I can see your video, but nobody else should be able to. But it didn't seem to be the case. And even then, when the videos are open, only people in that group should be able to see that video. Other people shouldn't. And even then, how'd they even get to it? I don't understand a single thing. So please make sure that you are signed up now. The first time I put in everyone's name in, and there were problems. So from now on, you should be using one of your valid email addresses. If you have any problems signing up, please message me and tell me, and we can sort things out. And we'll be using Flipgrid for the smaller discussion exercises, or rather exercises where I need to be able to see and hear what you're doing, how you're talking. So just for future reference, we are going to use Flipgrid. And we're going to have it entirely private, so it should be only you, the uploader, and me can see the video. So, in that case, don't wear a mask. I need to see your mouth move. It is just how it is. If you're still concerned about that, then we need to have you'll be inside. We can't be that worried about things. But anyways. So far, I'm very happy with the participation. And something I want to make sure that we remember, and I remember, you're going to be making lessons. And as of right now, you're going to be making 2 lessons. And so 2 short lessons. So you will need to make lesson plans. And we're talking about making lesson plans, introductions, and how to make them. And I'm posting example lesson plans for each of the week's lectures that we have. So please, if you follow along, you can see how they're going, and how lesson plans are helpful. They're very helpful in that, one, they provide a good form for your thoughts. For my thoughts, I have a lot of ideas, but sometimes putting those thoughts into sequential, useful order can be difficult, so lesson planning is quite helpful for that. Also, it provides documentation of what you're doing. Sometimes you'll get complaints, or you'll be challenged by moms. It's almost invariably moms. And they'll complain about you. They did with me. And the school, if the school is to defend you, they need something to defend you with. And lesson plans can be very helpful for that. Back years ago, before you're... Wait, no, it was after you were born. I taught middle school in Seoul. And I had 4 moms call in and complain to the vice principal on the same day that I was racist and I hated Korea. I had this because 4 girls who were sitting together, they kept talking, so I just separated the girls into 4 different corners. And on that day, they complained to their mothers, and they said I hate Korea. And those 4 moms called the school and complained and how I hated Korea and what I was teaching was racist. And they had a paper from a lesson from 5 months in the past using as an example. And they're I don't want to call the girls liars, but they made stuff up. Now, for the vice principal to defend me, and for my head teacher, my co-teachers to defend me, the lesson plans are helpful, because otherwise, it was also helpful because I knew the vice principal, and he was able to say, no, I don't think he is. I don't think he is. I think he likes Korea. And then he was able to go find the papers and able to go interview the co-teacher who was in the classroom about what was the lesson. And the lesson was actually about apologizing in English, not about Korea at all. And none of the material had to do with culture in that regards. But having the documentation, the lesson plan, was very helpful. It made things easier to be defended, to get help. And so lesson plans are helpful. Now, are you going to have that kind of situation? No, you're not. But can those kinds of things happen? Yes, they can. And you need to be able to protect yourself in the future. So being able to provide documentation of your work is important. And that's why we have lesson plans. So today, let's get into today's main lecture, which is about word stress. And you covered stress a bit before, but basically, 2 simple rules for word stress. One word has 1 main stress. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And as you listen to my voice, you can hear where the stress comes in and where it does not. But we cannot stress we cannot stress consonants. We can only stress vowels. That's where it comes in. And hopefully, you can hear where I'm placing some stress. Hopefully, where did I put the stress on? Hopefully, that's where the stress comes in. Let's take there's some interesting rules about word stress as well. Most 2-syllable nouns, the stress is on the first syllable. So present, export. Most syllable adjective, 2-syllable adjectives, it's on the first syllable. Happy, clever. Most 2-syllable verbs on the second syllable. This is where the context clues come in. This is where listening comes in very important, because we have the word present, present, spelling exactly the same way, but they're different words. Export. They're different words, and stress comes in. So hearing them by themselves, it can be hard to distinguish, to tell which one is which. That's where the sentence, the context comes in, is so important. Let's take a look at some different nouns and verbs. So the noun, suspect. Notice how with stress goes, how we elongate, we make it a little bit longer. Suspect. So suspect. So we can see how one way of seeing stress is how long we make that syllable. Present. Conflict. You can hear the difference. Project. Permit. So we see that. Now, another rule, when we have stress on the penultimate. This is a big fancy word meaning second from last, second from the end. We're in words ending with ick. So graphic. Geographic. Geological. Not geological. Goober. Geologic. Words ending with zhen or shen. We'll get into pronunciation a bit later. This is just about stress. Expression. This is, expression. Revelation. And stress on the antepenultimate. That is the third from the end, third from last. Words ending with C, T, F, G. Democracy, democracy. Dependability, dependability. Photography, photography, photography. But we don't say, we say photograph, photograph, photograph. Photography, photography. Photographer, photographer, photographer. Photography. You can hear, even though the spelling is so close, where we place the stress is a big indicator on what the word is and how we say it. Words ending with al. Critical, geological. There we go, see? Geological, critical. And compound words. Ow. Cracked my jaw. Words with two parts. We see blackbird. If it's a compound noun, the stress is on the first part. What kind of bird was it? It's a blackbird. Blackbird. What kind of house was it? It's a greenhouse. Greenhouse. Compound adjectives, though. Compound adjectives stresses on the second part. The second part. Bad-tempered. Bad-tempered. Old-fashioned. Old-fashioned. Sometimes, for emphasis, you might hear too much stress placed on the old, but old-fashioned. Compound words. Verb stresses often on the second part. To understand. To overflow. To undercut. Now, here again we see nouns and verbs. And these are excellent, excellent examples to check out. So we see record, record. The bank recorded a new record yesterday. The bank recorded a new record yesterday. Number 2. Present, present. He presented his wife with a beautiful present. He presented his wife with a beautiful present. Conduct, conduct. They're conducting a study into his conduct. They're conducting a study into his conduct. Suspect, suspect, suspect. Number 4. The suspect was suspected of robbing the bank. The suspect was suspected of robbing the bank. Number 5. Desert, desert. Desert, desert. Be aware that this D-E-S-E-R-T, desert, means to run away, especially from an obligation. Especially people who run away from the army are army deserters. So the desert is so dry that it is usually deserted. Let's talk about eliciting vocabulary, trying to get the students to say and show what they know instead of just giving them the answers. So when we introduce new vocabulary, students might already know it or be able to provide a simple definition. And so even though the vocabulary might be new to the class itself, it may not be new to individual students. This is very common with English, where you have huge ability discrepancies within single classes. You might have near native or native English speakers with absolute beginners, and it's not a happy situation for either student. So you need to try eliciting vocabulary is a way of seeing what students know and what they don't know. And also, when we elicit vocabulary, it's a way of reviewing what the students remember or might not remember 100%. So this is a way of engaging the students throughout the class and throughout the entire time of the school year. So it's a way of doing that. So let's take a look at some different methods of eliciting instead of just saying things. So easy one, miming, gesturing, using the body. We have a body, it's helpful to use it. So miming, of course, is silent things. So for example, what's that? Well, it's laughing, funny, things like that. In its way of gesticulating in over enthusiastic ways. Miming, it's helpful, it can be. Pictures are another way. Now, on the screen, there are pictures of two different animals. And as we get students to talk about the animals, about what the characteristics of the elephant and the cheetah are, but there's a lot more we can elicit out of them. So, this animal, we know it's an elephant, but what kind of elephant is it? Do you know? Well, there's some different ways we can know. What color is it? Right, and they say gray usually. What are these things? Ears. And so, using different, as we use pictures, we get the students to describe the different characteristics, different parts of the elephant. That this is an African elephant. That they have different. That these are different from Asian elephants. And there's lots of great body parts and colors about how and how they move, how many legs it has, what the nose of the elephant is called, things like that. Using pictures is a great way to review the information that you already taught, or to see how much students already know about what you're going to teach them. This is quite helpful for physical objects. The same can be done for cheetahs, especially when comparing the two. Cheetahs are very fast. Elephants we think of as slow. Cheetahs eat meat. Elephants eat plants. Things like that. Here's a fun one. Which animal is nicer to humans? Turns out, cheetahs are nicer to humans. Elephants, African elephants, are not nice to humans generally. So it's people keep cheetahs as pets. They can live with humans. African elephants don't. They can't. Their personalities are too bad. Another way of eliciting vocabulary, the vocabulary that you want, is to use synonyms, to use similar words. So this is a great way of expanding and reminding students of the expanded vocabulary of what they are learning and what they have learned. So instead of just learning the one word, fast, there's other words that they'll need to learn later, but it's helped to know fast, quick, speedy, instead of just saying good, well, swell, terrible, bad, distraught, those words. Delicious is another one as well. So using synonyms, using similar words to elicit the actual word, the target word. And then, of course, we have antonyms, the opposite word. Clean and opposite of clean, of course, is dirty. Tasty, we can say disgusting. Wonderful, terrible. Fast, slow. This is a great way, and also to help students remember the vocabulary. Remember to pair them up with the positive and the negative. Compare the opposites. Hints are another word you can give. Just giving direct hints, like as if it's a game. You can give them the first letter of the word or the first syllable. If the first letter is C or A, things like that, we can help them as well. Now, this one is new, and it's not in our books, but I think it can be helpful, especially doing over video where we have we can just get sound effects. If you have control over your technology, if you're walking from classroom to classroom to different classrooms, then computers break and files don't always work well together. So I've grew mistrustful of being overly reliant on technology, on using too many things that needed a computer to work. Because a lot of times it didn't work. So I broke it. So I had to become reliant on not using computers as much when teaching, when things weren't in my control. So but sounds can be helpful if you're good at making sounds, but that can be a little, if you're good at it. For example, what animal is this? Right, that's a chicken. Oh, hey, what instrument is this? That's right, it's a trumpet. What about this? Now, if you're watching the video feed, you can see for the instruments I also included the pantomime, the miming, which is helpful. Sounds. But with the videos, you can just plug in audio files. For example, hey, do you know what this sound is? What about this sound? Yeah, but what about this? So we can, with the videos, that allows us to edit in more. It's another tool available to us. So that's about eliciting vocabulary. So in week 3, we reviewed word stress. We talked about word stress. And some of the different rules about word stress. I'm going to ask you to do a bit of homework on Flipgrid. I'm going to post this on the under the assignments page, under the discussion page, and I'm going to give you phrases I'd like you to read on Flipgrid and just practice being aware of stress, of where the stress is placed, all right? We're also going to talk about some different things. There's another video in this lecture about eliciting vocabulary, and it's a separate video, but please pay attention to it. It is helpful for us. And we are also going to start talking about your micro lesson and about making lesson plans. Micro lesson will come up, but that will come up later in week 8 and week 9, which it's still only week 3. But we're going to talk about the different parts and about eliciting vocabulary. Have a great week. Be very safe. And thank you and goodbye.